One. What's up, everybody? It's your boy, Stanley Doucette. Yes, sir. We're back. We're back. Welcome to Let's Talk with Stanley Doucette. I am he, your host, and I have another powerful episode this week. Listen, there's a lot of activity going on in the trauma space. I don't know what's going on, but there's a lot of activity going on in the trauma space. And I went into my bag of tricks and I got one of my good friends to come on today and talk about something that is absolutely revolutionary to help people beyond where they are. This topic, in and of itself, is fire. Listen, this guy is incredible. You're going to hear about him, you're going to hear from him. He's going to take it away. We're going to do some amazing things on this particular podcast. But before we get into it, just what I want you guys to do, if you have an opportunity to grab something, to take some notes, whatever it may be, please take notes. This one is going to change lives. It is absolutely going to change lives. If you're calling in if you're listening in from South America, hello. If you're calling in or listening in from London, how are you? If you're listening in from Africa, hey. If you're calling in right here in America, what it do? Or most importantly, if you're calling in right here from New Orleans, Louisiana, what's happening? I don't care where you calling in. We are here to actually make some powerful things happen. So today I have my friend Mr. J online with us. He is a actual practitioner and listen to this, betrayal trauma. Yes, sir. We're getting it into. So all those people that are looking for relationships, you broken, or you may be broken, or you thinking about being broken, or maybe you're looking at healing, trying to heal. I thought I was healed, but all of those things, we're going to talk through it today. So before we get into talking with my friend Mr. J, first, Mr. J, for you today, what's going on?
How are you? Great to be on. I appreciate you giving me this opportunity.
Absolutely, absolutely. So a lot of people get into some of these, some of these, I'll just say things for lack of words, right? So first of all, before we get into it, I want to make sure everybody understand who you are. So who is Mr. J?
Ah, first and foremost, well, thank you for that introduction. First and foremost, I have to say I'm a child of God, number one, and I am a proud parent of two wonderful adopted children. Going on next month, I'm going on 23 years of marriage. Um, I I I spent many years teaching. I was in the teaching field. I love animals. I love my occasional guilty pleasure crime show. But most importantly, I love what I do in the trauma field. I love what I do in the trauma field. First of all, I tell people a lot of times like my credentials, what my degrees are in and my certifications in this, but I'm going to be honest with you. The biggest credential I have in this field is I have a doctorate from the School of Hard Knocks. And there's no
Yes.
substitute for experience. Because I'm going to tell you something. When I'm sitting across from a person or a couple that have experienced the profound hell that betrayal trauma brings on, they don't give a crap where I went to school or what my grades are. They're just like, Mr. J, have you been in my shoes? And can you get me the hell out of my head because I can't stand being here? So that's who Mr. J is. We can certainly get deeper if you'd like, or move on.
No, no, that's fine because I know you have an incredible background. Like, you and I, this is my friend, guys. So we talk and we have a lot of things we began discussing, but I didn't want to take our conversation and keep it there. I wanted to make sure everybody had the opportunity to understand his background and understand, is this not just somebody I found on the street, but he is documented. He's doing some incredible things. So Jay and everything, let's just start from here. How did you start your journey into behavioral trauma?
So, I like I said, I was in the education field for a long time. I was a special education instructor, certified K through 8, and I worked with a lot of students with a lot of various issues. So, for many years, I actually worked in a hospital. So kids that were terminal, that maybe had cancer or leukemia, they were in the hospital for long periods of time, but still there was federal mandates. They had to have an education. So I worked in a hospital for a long time and I loved it. After that, we moved to DC, the District of Columbia, and that's where I worked in like a mini juvenile detention center. And I loved it there because there was a lot of behavioral struggles, a lot of behavioral issues. Now, this was no joke. There were teachers that would leave in ambulances. I mean, these kids were rough.
Yeah.
But I loved it. I absolutely loved it. It was very well, I was one of them. How about that? So I understood where they were coming from. And you can't study and listen, when you come from the night before where a sibling was just murdered in a drive-by shooting and you haven't eaten in 3 days, you don't care what 4 times 2 is. So I got the struggle. Okay. So then, after adopting kids, I kind of stayed home for a little while for my kids. And then abruptly, my father passed away. And when I mean abruptly, I mean I was talking to him one day, we're laughing, we're talking on the phone, we're telling jokes. And literally 4 days later, we're lowering his body into the ground. Well, it was a couple of days after that, I woke up in the middle of the night with my first panic attack. Now, I've never had a panic attack. I've worked with people that have panic attacks. I've heard of panic attacks. I've read about them, learned about them, but Lord have mercy, there's no substitute for experience. So when I woke up from a panic attack, they literally feel like you're dying, heart attack. But what was interesting is I woke up from a panic attack smelling smoke. Now I got 2 young kids and I got a pretty big house I live in. So I'm going all over trying to find the origin of the smell of smoke. I'm going in my kitchen, I'm going in my basement, I'm going upstairs, I'm going all over, and I cannot find the origin of this smoke. Finally, I open up the door to my front door and thinking, well, maybe one of my neighbors has a fire late at night or whatever. No smoke. There was no origin to smoke whatsoever. So finally, I go get back in bed, and the second my head hits the pillow, Stanley, I was transformed back to when I was 6 years old, standing next to my mother, watching our house burn down in a fire, and she was screaming bloody murder. And so what happened was my father's death brought up a lot of unhealed trauma from my childhood. And I said, no way. So it was in the pursuit of the journey of discovering a lot of my unhealed childhood trauma led me into this field of betrayal trauma, which is fascinating because it's a niche within a niche, which got me rubbing elbows with people in this field. Finally, I got certified in the field of betrayal trauma, and now my client base is about 90%. I deal with either individuals or couples that are trying to repair and rebuild after betrayal was introduced into the relationship. So that's the short story.
Before we go into a little deeper, the trigger was unfortunately the death of your dad that triggered stuff inside of you from way, way back. That's amazing. One of the things I was conversing with someone last week, and in our conversation, we were just talking and talking. And I remember mentioning it to her. I said, I've been fortunate enough to mentor a lot of people, all of those other good things. I said, this is not about me. I said, but I understand and I see that you're not healed. And she swore up and down, "You healed. You don't know what you're talking about." She wanted to throw holy water on me and put the cross. They'd like, "Oh, get away." And
Mhm.
then I think the next day or 2 days later, she was talking to like her boyfriend or something, and some kind of way she found out something he did, whatever it may have been, going
Yeah,
into that behavioral trauma, and some things began to come up in her that she didn't even remember
yeah,
until that specific situation.
yeah.
And of course, I wanted to so bad say, "Didn't I tell you so?"
No.
But I didn't. I didn't. And it started to open up things that she had no idea that she was hurting from. And when you're saying this story, I'm blown away like, wow. So inside of your all of the things that you have done and all the things that you continue to do, right? What who do you think hurts more from these behavioral traumas, or is it just random that they happen?
Okay, so I'm going to answer your question, but I just want to say this. It makes a lot of sense. You're just talking about the person you were talking with, because I don't know if you remember when the New York trade towers were slammed into by jets and they completely crumbled to the ground. President Bush at the time got on the news and he said they woke up a sleeping giant. And what he meant was the US now woke up and we are going to, do what we need to do. That's what betrayal trauma does to our bodies. It wakes up a sleeping giant. And in that sleeping giant, the giant comes out and reveals these are all the unhealed parts of you that need to
Yes.
be revealed now. And this is why I tell people all the time, and listen, there's going to be things that I say on this interview that listeners might really get offended or turned off, but I'm just going to spit facts and they can do what they want with it. When I talk to people who have experienced betrayal in the relationship, I often say the trauma that you're dealing with is only about 40% what your current partner did to you. Really, what you're trying to work on is the 60% that was unhealed within you, because
So,
betrayal trauma hits us at our core insecurities, the core
yes.
insecurities that we never were healed from. And this is what's interesting. So many times we have, like, developmental trauma or childhood trauma. And I'll get to the people that have had no trauma. So don't think that, well, wait a minute, I didn't have any trauma. I'll get to you in a second. But the majority of us, and the Latin word for trauma just means wound. And I don't know about you, Stanley, but name one person in the world that hasn't been wounded. I mean, we all have been in some way or shape or
Right.
form, more complex with some than others, and yada yada. But here's the
Right.
deal: so many times in our childhood, we get wounded or traumatized. And what we do is we take on certain safety characteristics, whether that's to avoid, whether that's to people please, whether that's to go into addiction, porn addiction, whether we decide to cut ourselves because we want to numb. We all have these things. And then what happens is we don't deal with them. And so our personalities start to evolve and change around that to keep us safe. And then as we get older and we don't work on this, now all of a sudden we're presenting ourselves to the world and saying, well, this is just who I am. I can't help it. This is who I am. No, no, baby. It's not who you are. It's who you've become because you didn't work on your traumas and your
That's
wounds.
right.
And that's how you're presenting yourself to the world.
That's right. I love how you said it. This is not who you are. This is who you became. And how
Yeah.
many of us are numbing situations so we don't have to deal with it?
Yep. 100%. And listen, we all love to numb, distract, avoid, and cope with, because who wants to run into a fire? Who wants to run into a fire? Nobody wants. If we are designed as human beings to run as far away from pain as possible. But I tell people all the time, listen, the issues are in the tissues, and you got to feel it to heal it. But we don't want to do that, especially in this day and age where we can have everything at our fingertips. We want a hamburger, go sit in a drive-through for 2 minutes and you can have a hamburger. You want a package delivered, Amazon Prime, within a few hours you have everything at your house. You want a piece of butt, download an app and within an hour you can meet somebody for a piece of butt. We have got everything at our fingertips. We don't want to feel pain, but if you want to heal trauma, you got to sit in your pain. And I'm going to tell you something: grief and trauma is patient. Ooh, ooh, it's so patient. It'll wait until it'll wait until you're on your deathbed if need be. If you don't manage and deal with your trauma and your wounds, your trauma and wounds will manage you, and it'll be
You,
patient. So you can run and distract and cope and numb all you want. It'll just sit there and say, "I got time. I got time."
yeah, yeah. This is so good. This is so good. The reason I say that is, this. We can walk in the grocery store and somebody could bump into us and say a couple of words, and automatically we just hear, oh, okay, you're dealing with something. Oh, you're
Yeah,
dealing with something. Oh, you're dealing. And instead of them saying, we put this mask, I call it a mask, we put this mask on and give the impression that this is who I am. But really, that's not who you are. That's who you the to be, but that's not who you are. And when you get to the core of it, oh, that goes to what you say, the tissue, what do you call it? The tissue
the issues are in the
manifest.
tissues.
Yeah, yeah. It is so, man, the work you're doing is phenomenal. I feel energized conversing with you because a lot of times, as you know, we talk to people and we got to break through the boxes. We got to break through the walls. We got to break through all of the stuff to get to the part to now they want to heal. Then we're able to help. And let me just say this before even the end of the podcast. I just want to say this. The work you're doing, Jay, my brother, my friend, is exceptional because people are hurting today. Let me ask this: in terms of the behavioral trauma, it also does it goes also to careers. Because I'm thinking about the federal workers right now. Whether you like what's going on, not I'm not into politics. I'm talking about the actual human being. 20-year career, people making six figures. All of a sudden, the next day they get an email, they have nothing. I mean, does that also constitute in terms of the behavioral trauma as well?
Yes. So listen, and for it's well, for in order for betrayal trauma to appear, there needs to be a reliance upon. And so here's the deal. A lot of times I'm talking about betrayal trauma, and people think, oh, it's about infidelity. And make no mistake, it is. It does include infidelity. That's probably, and that's by far probably one of the worst traumas somebody can experience, aside from possibly losing a child. Although I have a lot of clients who have experienced both, and some of them will say, Mr. J, I'll lose a child all over again. This betrayal with my spouse was horrific, was mind numbing, mind effing. Okay, but let me just say this to answer your question. Yes, so we can experience betrayal trauma from anyone we have a reliance upon. That could be our job because we rely on our job. And yes, I am talking to somebody right now who gave their 17 years of commitment to a company, and he just got a pink slip with very little, nothing to walk away with. And he said, I gave my blood, sweat, and tears. I sacrificed time with my kids for this company. I've sacrificed time with my mother on her deathbed because of my job. I completely, and I was relying on my company to keep me safe. And now it betrayed me. Absolutely, you get betrayal trauma from a company. You can also get betrayal trauma from yourself or God. Let me explain. I'm talking to a woman who said, Mr. J, all my life I've been very mindful. I've drank my shakes. I ate healthy. I did my meditation, and I was just diagnosed with breast cancer. I feel like my body betrayed me, or my creator betrayed me. Then there's also betrayal from people that unalive themselves, suicide. I have plenty of clients that said, Mr. J, my dad was my best friend. My dad was my best friend. And then I walked in the back house, and there he is laying there with a gun in his hand. He already committed the deed. My father took my best friend away from me, which was himself. That's betrayal trauma. And then there's certainly spousal betrayal. So anytime there's a reliance upon, a dependency upon, a trust upon, that could be betrayal trauma. Now, people can be hurt by, like, I could probably hurt you right now, but I can't cause you trauma because you don't rely on me for much. Even if I were to stiff you for this interview, that might frustrate you, it might hurt you. And that's the difference between trauma and stress. I just want to say for people that are listening, stress affects us, trauma changes us.
Ding, 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 ding. Write that, say that again so everybody can write that down.
Stress affects us, trauma changes us. And because listen, let me just give you bottom line. A couple of things. First of all, let me just give you a very quick analogy of betrayal trauma. Imagine you're flying in an airplane at 30,000 feet, okay? And the only two people on the plane other than the pilot are you and the person you love and trust the most, whether that's your girlfriend, your boyfriend, your husband, your wife, your whoever it is, the person you love and trust, probably more so than you trust yourself. You love this other person, you trust this other person. And then and all of a sudden the pilot says, okay, we're going to be flying over a river of crocodiles now. River of crocodiles. And if you look down, you'll see there's crocodiles. And all of a sudden you're looking down, and the side of the airplane rips open, and you're pushed out. And you're falling, and you got no parachute, and you're like, oh my God, I'm falling into a river of crocodiles. And you're looking for something to grab onto, and you look up, and the person that you loved and trusted the most, you realize they pushed you out of the plane. And now your mind is hijacked. You're like, wait a minute, what? Whoa. Now I'm confused, and I'm angry, and I'm scared, and I'm frightened, and I'm sad. and then you fall into a crocodile pit and you get torn apart into pieces and you die emotionally and mentally, but not physically. That's where people come to me and say, I am broke. I am broken. What can you do for
Yeah.
me? That's betrayal trauma. Now, take that, Stanley, and then
Uh-huh.
try to rebuild and repair and trust that person that pushed you out of the plane again. You're talking an almost impossibility, but it can be done. It has to be done. Every day it's done. Now, let me just say real quick, there's many reasons why betrayal trauma is a world of its own. It's not just trauma, it's betrayal trauma. It's a world of its own. There's many different reasons what sets betrayal trauma apart from non-betrayal trauma, but I'll just give you three just for the sake of time. Number one is its secret society. When we discover that, our spouse or our significant other has apps on their phone, like dating apps, or we discover there's numbers under our mattress to prostitutes or whatever, the last thing we want to do is pick up the and say, guess what? I just found so and so on my husband's app. Or, hey, best friend, guess what? I just found my husband going and getting a rub and tug at a massage parlor. Or, hey, coworker that I've been, friends with for 20 years. I just found out my wife's having an affair with her boss. It's a secret society. So whenever we experience a trauma, such as and this is a non-betrayal trauma, such as a parental death, or let's just say we lose a child, or whatever, one of the things we do is we have societal support. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. And let me send you flowers. And let me bake you lasagna and macaroni and cheese and whatever the case is. When we go through a betrayal trauma, it's a secret society because we don't want to yell it from the rooftops. And that's what makes the journey to heal so difficult because now not only are we betrayed and we're traumatized, but we feel so isolated and alone. And nothing feels more horrible than trying to heal when you feel alone. That's number one. Number two, it's we personalize it. That's the second reason why it stands alone. We personalize it. If we discover that our parent is sick or our parent passes away or we witness a car accident, whatever, we could be traumatized, but we don't personalize it. The minute we find out the person that we were with, our person in life shared their body, their mind, their soul with somebody else, we immediately turn inwards. What was it about me? Did I have a big butt? Did I put on some weight? Was I not strong enough? Were my pecs not big enough? Was my waist not small enough? We personalize it. Had nothing to do with us. It affected us, but it had nothing to do with us. But we personalize it. That's the second way that it stands alone. And the third way that it stands alone is that trauma in general affects the here and now and the future. You have a parent pass away, that can be traumatizing in the moment. And also when you get pictures from your kids at school and you're like, oh my God, my dad's going to love this or my mom's going to love this. That's going to affect the future. You no longer can send your family pictures anymore. So trauma affects the future, the here and now and the future. Betrayal trauma is the only trauma that affects the here and now, the future, and the past. Because now no longer can you drive by certain restaurants, certain hotels, certain streets anymore, knowing your spouse might have been with somebody in that restaurant, in that hotel. So you can't look at vacation photos anymore and say, wait a minute, when we're on vacation at Holly in Disney World and they said they had a business meeting, they had to step outside and take a call. Yeah, my butt, take a call. Now you can't look at pictures anymore. So betrayal trauma is the only trauma that affects the past, the present, and the future. I'm sorry, but the past. So those are just three ways why betrayal trauma stands alone, say with non-betrayal trauma.
How do we actually deal with the actual behavioral, emotional triggers for after the betrayal?
Okay,
So,
so very good question, very loaded question, but let
oh,
me tell you
I'm
something.
sorry.
No. Let me tell you something. So, one of the first things you have to do if you're working with a professional is they have to find out what was your first trauma, because so many times we get a trauma where we get a trigger, we think it has something to do with today's behavior, today's situation, but it doesn't. It's waking up the sleeping giant of the unhealed developmental trauma or childhood wound. So, and I'll tell you something, sometimes you can actually just listen to a couple talk and you can hear some of their insecurities. Like, for instance, let's just hypothetically speaking, let's take a male female relationship and let's pretend the male stepped out. Okay. If I'm in a session with somebody, I might hear the girlfriend or the wife say, Mr. J, I can't believe what he did to me. Was I that ugly? Well, you just told me one of your core insecurities was you feel like you're ugly. Or somebody else will say, I can't believe he disrespected me so much. Am I that worthless? Well, she just told me she has feelings. And so a lot of times when we get a trigger, the trigger is actually the original wound.
Yeah.
And we have to go back to that and heal that. If not, what we're doing is we're putting tar on a driveway without filling in the hole. We're just putting tar on it. Sure, it could look all nice and shiny and wonderful, as we all love to do before we present ourselves to society. We comb our hair and we look good. We can present ourselves wonderful, even in a relationship. But if we don't fill in those potholes, it's just an accident waiting to happen. But for those of you that have had a D day, which is a disclosure day, which is a discovery day, which is okay, now I know my partner or my spouse, my significant other was doing something. Now we're still together. We're trying to repair, rebuild, and move on. But I'm getting triggers. I'm getting these emotional flashbacks. I'm getting these thoughts that are tormenting. And Stanley, when I tell you triggers will bring you to your knees, they will bring you to your knees. I don't care if you're nursing your baby, washing dishes, having sex, you get a trigger, bam. And especially for people that have had pre-existing trauma, they're just not reminded of certain events of the past. They're reliving certain events of the past. If you
That's
have,
ooh.
yeah. So there's many things that you can do. One of them I tell people is, splash your face with water. You can hold ice cubes in your hand. One of my favorite things to do, to be honest with you, is spout out math facts and get more complex as you go about it. Like, 2 plus 2 is 4. 4 times 2 is 8. The more complex you get, the better. And I'm going to tell you why. The amygdala, which is a part of the brain, that's our smoke detector. That's our danger detector. And so right now, if you have a smoke detector in your house and it senses smoke, it's going to go off. But if you take your smoke detector and you have a hammer and you smash it, now it's just going to go off all hours of the night. 2 o'clock in the morning, 2:30, 4 o'clock, 6 in the morning. It's going to detect whatever. That's our amygdala. Our amygdala's job is to keep us safe. It basically scans our area and keeps us safe. Well, what happens after you have discover a betrayal? Somebody took your amygdala out of your brain, pounced it with a hammer 1,000 times, put it back in your brain. Now you're hyper vigilant no matter where you go. And you mentioned just a couple seconds ago being in the store and things like that. When you're when your amygdala has been smashed from betrayal, you don't feel safe no matter what you're doing. That includes being at the store. You can be going in a cart riding in the store, and your nervous system is in a constant state of hypervigilance, meaning who's in the aisle on the other side, ready to jump me? Who's in the aisle? When I turn my car, who's going to be waiting there with a gun, ready to rob me? There's no peace. There's no peace. And so when you're talking about math facts, 2 plus 2 is 4. 4 times 4 is 16. 16 times 2 is 32. The more complex, the more you're engaging your frontal, the logic part of your brain, prefrontal cortex. And the more that you're engaging your prefrontal cortex, the more that you're drowning out your amygdala. So that's one of my favorite ones. It's just about a month. There's many, many
That's
more, but just for the sake of this conversation, we'll stop there.
This is beautiful. And when you said that, and you have to dig and as you say, D-Day, and then you have to start digging to see I call it the root cause or the root. We have to get to the root, right? And I'll say a personal thing for me, I was having some challenges, behavioral challenges. Not nothing crazy. I'm just saying, like, I would be mean, I would be angry. I was on a police department, all of a sudden I would just snap. No
Mm-hmm.
reason. I'm like, and I remember talking to a psychiatrist, and he was like, Stanley, it's a cycle. It's cyclical. And like a certain part of the year, it's like all of a sudden it just, right? And it was always towards the fall. And
Yep.
so I was like, I think it was the fall, may have been the spring, but you get my point. So I was like, oh, of course, I'm young at this point. Young, full of, as they say, pea and vinegar, but it's another word that most people say.
Yeah.
So we doing our thing. And then then eventually going on and just but as I'm going, I'm realizing my best friend actually told me, he said, you need to look at that. Because I'm realizing I'm creating these patterns and I don't even know that I'm angry. But inside the angry, I'm scared, right? I didn't even know. So
Yep.
long and short, I call it, this is my own language. I did an autopsy on my life.
Yeah.
So I went all the way through from that day, all the way back, like mentally went all the way back. Went back through college, went back through high school, went back through middle school, so on, and got to the point where I've discovered, as we would say, the thing that was laying dormant that I had no idea. I had literally put it out of my mind, and that's I was raped when I was 6.
Yeah.
And then from there, obviously, I was able to, address the situation and then began to change and have a different appearance, a different outcome outwardly. But when you said that, it just made me so much think. And now it took me some time to do it. And like you said, triggers was coming. I was, under the knee, not just on the knees. I was under the knees.
Yeah.
So it I know from a personal standpoint it works. I know it works.
Yeah, and I just want to tell you because you mentioned go to the root of the thing, and that's what you need to do. And I always say, change the fruit, change the root. Or if you change the root, sorry, you change the fruit. Because I have a little analogy that I give my clients, and it's a tree with your roots, and then the tree trunk, and then the sticks and whatever, and then the leaves. The leaves are how you and I walk out into society. It's how you and I deal with, those are the leaves. But here's the deal. The leaves are connected to sticks that are connected to limbs that are connected to the trunk that's connected to the roots that are connected to the ground. So what the roots feed from is going to feed all this other part of the tree into the leaves. So you and I, and everybody listening, we walk out in society and everybody sees leaves. And we have all this chloroform in our leaves, and we got our lipstick and our hair done, and we look good and we smell good and we feel good. But man, what's in our roots? And that's what we got to get to. Because when you change the root, you change the fruit, or you change the leaves, the expression, or whatever. Absolutely. And I'll tell you another thing too, very quickly, is that I don't know if you ever heard, or maybe your listeners, is the body keeps the score. So one of the reasons why stopping to smoke cigarettes is so hard is because there's multiple addictions there. There's a psychological addiction. You got a habit going on. You got, like, listen, what I can't, I used to smoke. I don't anymore, but I used to smoke. And one of the things is you miss is like, man, I miss first thing in the morning, just getting up and having that first puff of cigarette. It's like that's what your body desire it. Same thing with coffee. Now my drug of choice is coffee, but I look forward to that, having that coffee, first cup in the morning. And it's not just drinking the coffee and what it does, it's holding on to the mug, bringing that mug to my mouth. So if I stop drinking coffee, it's just not what the effects of what coffee does to me, it's all the habits and behaviors of drinking that coffee. So here's what happens. When we are traumatized, our body remembers, okay? Our body remembers time and location. That's our hippocampus, the other part of our job in the mind is to record time and location. So a lot of times what happens is years and years out of trauma. As a matter of fact, this happened just the other day. This happened just the other day. This lady was telling me, Mr. J, I looked outside and I was looking at the leaves on the tree, and all of a sudden I had to go throw up. And come to find out, when she was 13 years old, she was raped, and it was outside, and it was in the fall, and she watched the leaves falling from the tree. Her body remembered the location and time of that. And so a lot of times, this is what I'm saying. This is where you got to do this work, because trauma will be patient, wounds will be patient, grief will be patient. And so anyways, her hippocampus remembered it was the fall when she was traumatized. So now, and she said that explains it. She said, because she said, I can't stand fall. I can't stand fall. I hate fall. I hate autumn. I hate the changing of the leaves. She says, and now it makes sense. Why? I really don't hate fall. I hate the triggers that fall brings.
That's right. Now this is a loaded question. This is ooh. As a matter of fact, we're gonna close out with this one.
Okay.
How do you heal from behavioral trauma?
Okay. So let me just say this. Number one, I hate to be the Debbie Downer. It is a slow boat to China. There's no pill. There's no
Yes.
lobotomy. There's no you got to get lowered into the cave of snakes, draw your sword, and fight like hell. It's
Yeah.
going to be a slow boat to China, and it's going to be a slow process. Um, and that is a loaded question because, like, it depending on the person would depend on the healing, because everybody's different. It's just like, when I was teaching school, my kids had what's called an IEP, an individual education plan. Everybody on this journey has to have an individualized healing plan because everybody's different. Everybody has different support systems, triggers, whatever. But one of the ways that I'll start is this. I'll tell you this. This is how I would start. Get a pen and paper, not your phone, not a tablet, not the computer, old-fashioned pen and paper. And I
Yes.
want you to sit with yourself, maybe dim the lights. If you want to have a wine cooler, but anybody that has a drinking problem, don't do that. Maybe put some music on, and I want you to go back to your childhood. And I want you to go back to your childhood where it wasn't a pleasant time. And I don't want you to run from it. This isn't going to be comfortable. This is going to be very uncomfortable. There's going to be discomfort here, but you got to feel it to heal it. And I want you to go back to a time in your childhood where it wasn't comfortable. And I want you to just stay and marinate that for a few seconds, for a few moments, marinate. And then I want you to take your pen and I want you to write that little boy inside or that little girl a letter from the person you are today. And I want you to start writing and say, listen, I see you. I see you. I see you right now hiding under your pillow, covering your ears because your parents are screaming, arguing, and you're afraid that somebody's going to come in, or you're afraid that you're going to hear somebody getting smacked up, or you're afraid you're going to hear the cops again. I see you, buddy. I see you. And I want to tell you, I'm here to apologize. I wasn't there for you then. I couldn't be there for you because I didn't have a voice. I, but I'm here to tell you, I'm here now. I am here now. I couldn't have your back, but I got your back now. You and I are going to do this thing called healing. We got this going on together. It's going to be you and I. And I just want you to write that little boy or little girl a letter. And wherever that letter goes, it goes. Now, here's the deal, Stanley. If possible, write with your non-dominant hand. And the reason why is because we all have filters that we like to present to society. When you write with your non-dominant hand, that tempers your filter and it allows you to get real and raw. And I want you to get real and raw.
That is excellent.
So now
That's
listen,
excellent.
this is not going to be a fun letter to write. You
Yeah.
might be you might be sobbing till 4 o'clock in the morning writing this letter, but this is what's going to start this healing process. And then you wake up the next day and you feel tired and exhausted and zombified and like you just worked out for 6 hours at the gym, but you take a deep breath and put a smile on your face and say, this is where my healing begins.
You're coming back. You are absolutely coming back to Let's Talk. You are absolutely coming back. It is so much to unpack.
Yeah.
Now, it's so we when we talk, I say, hey, we'll throw a couple of questions out there. We'll start and just go from there. We never even really got into it.
No.
We're coming back. We definitely gonna. This is so good. There's two things I want to do. One, please share with everybody how they can get in contact with you. What is it that they need to do to get in contact with you? So if they want to book a session with you, they want to call in like, hey, I'm at that verge. What is it, or how can they get in contact with you?
Well, thank you. Listen, I have the easiest website on the face of the earth as far as I'm concerned. It's mrjrelationshipcoach.com. But let me just say this. Even if somebody never wants to hear me, see me, talk to me, know anything about me, I have a lot of free resources on my website. So just come again, it's mrjrelationshipcoach.com. Even if you never want to talk to me, just come and take advantage of the free resources on my website.
That is beautiful. Mr. J, relationshipcoach.com. Mr. J, relationshipcoach.com. Go, family, go take advantage of all of the free resources. Book Mr. J to help you through some of those difficult moments. Jay, this is incredible. This is incredible. Oh, wait. Now, before we close out, you have to do this.
Okay.
Yes, yes, yes. So this is the first time being on Let's Talk. So you have to be indoctrinated into being part of the family, right?
All righty.
So this is going to be great. Nothing hard. So if you heard me when I first got on, there was a certain thing that I did in terms of saying hello and all that when I first got in.
Hmm.
So, in order for you to be part of the family, to be indoctrinated into Let's Talk with Stanley Doucette, you have to follow me and do the introduction. Are you ready? It's very
I'm
simple.
ready.
You ready?
I'm ready.
I'm gonna do it, and then you do it behind me. Okay?
Okay.
All right, hold on. Let me see if I can grab my earbuds real quick, because I want to make sure everybody can hear.
All
Think we
righty.
should do that now. Can you hear me clearly?
I can hear you clearly.
All right, here we go. Why?
Wah.
You gotta drag it out. You gotta drag it out.
So it's WAAAA.
So it's just one.
Okay, you cut off at the end. It's wah. Wah.
Thank you so much for being a great sport. We are definitely going to book each other again. I cannot wait to get into another conversation with you. I know you have absolutely blessed so many people on this podcast on this Monday and pressing forward. It's uploaded so people will be able to go back, listen to it. Family, if you have got bits and pieces, this podcast is very important. Please go back and listen to it. Listen to the tools that was given, the nuggets that was shared. This is important. It is truly something that will change your life. I am absolutely grateful, Jay, that you got an opportunity to get on and be with us. We doing this again. It's gonna be soon too. This ain't gonna
Awesome.
be one of them. Yeah, we can get you on and it's 5 years from now. Talk. Oh, y'all remember Jay? And everybody like, who's Jay? No, we're going to do it. I'm excited. Thank you so much for allowing us to spend some time with you. And you are absolutely amazing. Thank you for
Thank
what
you,
you do
Stanley.
so many. We appreciate you. So, fellas, we're going to log on out of here. We're going on somebody's beach or we're going to do something. I'm going to get some food. I'm hungry. We're going to make some things happen. So, with that being said, I will see you guys on the beaches of the world. God bless and have a great day and week. See y'all next week. We out. Peace.